Hello, welcome back to another Stitches and Scribbles video. Today we are going to start working on the infamous TikTok Harry Styles JW Anderson cardigan, and this video is going to be an introduction to crochet. So if you did not see my last video, I'm just going to quickly go over my layout for my plans for the cardigan. This is my planning page with the colors outlined and all the pieces that I need to make. As I stated in my intro video, all of my gray squares are crochet stitches, green ones are going to be knit stitches. You can look for that video next in this series. And my blue squares are going to be Tunisian stitches, so that will be further along in the process, and at the end we will put it all together. For the single crochet and half double crochet squares that we're going to work on today, you will need a size 5mm hook. If you only have Tunisian hooks, you can still use a Tunisian hook for regular crochet, but I have a different one to use. And you will also need your yarn. If you're making the cardigan exactly the same as how I am using the low tide yarn from Lion Brand in Driftwood. It looks like this when it's balled up. Again, you can check out that previous video for more yarn information. Basically, you want to make sure that your hook size matches the yarn so that you have consistent gauge throughout, including with your other stitches that are being used. For my single crochet square, I am going to be chaining 24 stitches. I'll explain what that is in a minute. If you are making a different size or have a different arrangement of squares, you will probably have to do a gauge square to figure out how big your cardigan squares are going to be. But I will go ahead and start mine so that you can follow along. I find that when I hold my crochet stuff, I do better if my yarn is on the left. That may be because of how I hold my yarn and the fact that I am right-handed, so you can set it up however it is comfortable for you. First, we're going to start off with a slip knot, and this is a basic technique that you need for knit, crochet, and Tunisian crochet. So I will show you my method that I learned when I was really little. I don't know if there's a name for this method, so if there is, please let me know down below. But I start by hooking the yarn over my index finger on my non-dominant hand so that the short end is kind of resting over my pinky and the longer one is on the other side. Then I stick my thumb and my index finger in there, flip upside down so that I have two loops, and stick the loop that was on my thumb through the loop that was on my index finger. This gives me a slip knot where the tail is the part that can be adjusted, not the part that's attached to the rest of the yarn. If you need to see that again, you can go ahead and back up the video, pause it as needed, all that good stuff. Put your slip knot over your crochet hook so that it is flush against the hook but not too tight. You still want to be able to move it. Now we're going to start our chain stitches. So to do a chain stitch, you're going to wrap your yarn around the hook. This is called a yarn over. And then use the hook to pull it through the loop you already made. That's one chain stitch. I'll show you again. Yarn over, pull through. A lot of people have to twist their hook down in order to pull it through. So that's 2 chains, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So it should look like that when you're done with your chains. Now we're going to start single crochet. If you are an advanced crocheter, you can insert your hook into the bump of those chain stitches, but since I'm assuming that most of the people watching this this in-depth are beginners, I'm going to show you an easier way if you are just starting. So on your chain, you can see that little V-stitch on the other side. We're actually going to flip it backwards, and you're going to insert your hook into that stitch that's laying on top. So I'll show you on the other ones, all of these stitches that are laying on the top edge, that's what we're inserting our hook into. So since you stuck your hook into that loop, you should now have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through once, then yarn over again, and pull through both loops. That's a single crochet. Let's try again. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through both. One more time. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to continue that all the way across. Pull through 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and so on down the row. As you're going, make sure that you're not inserting into a stitch more than once. Since I stopped right now, I can show you. This stitch that's stretched right at the base of what I'm working with is what I already inserted into. That's why that stitch is all stretched out. So you have to make sure you're going into the next one. And your last one will leave you with a first row looking like this. Now we're going to start our second row. So I like to do 1 chain stitch at the end of the row because it makes a cleaner border, but that is optional. I'm going to go ahead and show you. That's my chain 1, and that just kind of gives me a sturdier edge. Now when we look at the top of our stitches, you'll see those little V shapes. When we insert our hook, we now want to put it into both sides of that V. So from the top, when I stick in my hook, I've gone under both sections of the V. Pull through 1 and pull through 2, just like before. Insert your hook through both parts of the V, pull through 1, pull through 2, and keep going across the entire row. And from here on out, every single crochet row is going to be the same. And because this is crochet and not knit, there's no cast off row. If you're used to knitting, that may be a little weird at first, that when you are done with your crochet piece, you're just done. You don't have to cast off, but that's just how crochet works. Keep going across your entire row. And I'll come back in a minute to show you what a final square looks like. Alright, so here is a completed single crochet square. For the square sizes that I'm doing, I made 30 rows of single crochet. The stitches don't work out quite so that you can have the same number of rows as you do chain stitches at the beginning, so that may seem a little bit weird that to get a square you have to do more rows than stitches you started with, but that's how my gauge swatch worked out, so that's what I did for my other squares. To count rows, if you look at your crochet from an even numbered side, so you know it's an even numbered row if the yarn tail from where you started is on the right. You actually kind of have to count by 2s. If you look really up close at the fabric, each one of these sections is actually 2 rows. So you would count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and 30. Just like that. And in order to make the right number of single crochet squares, if you're matching my design, you will need 10 single crochet squares total. Let's start our half double crochet squares. So half double crochet is very similar to single crochet. We just have a couple of small differences. So just like we did for single crochet, you need to start with chain stitches. So I have my 24 chain stitches again, but I'm actually going to add one. And if you remember in our single crochet section of this tutorial, I added stitches on the side to kind of smooth out the edges. Half double crochet kind of works the same way, but each stitch is 2 chain stitches tall, which is why we have to add an extra one. Then I'm going to flip that chain so that I can see the back. And this is where the stitches get a little bit different. So first of all, I'm not going to go right into that first stitch. I'm actually going to go into the one 3 away from my hook. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going into that third one. I'm going to pull it out a little bit just so that I can see where it is. This time for half double crochet, we actually have to do a yarn over before we insert the hook. So I'm going to yarn over, then insert my hook. Now I have 3 loops on my hook even though I just inserted. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 1. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'll show you again. Yarn over to start, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. And you can see that those stitches are a little bit taller than our single crochet stitches. So you're going to half double crochet all the way down, again making sure to watch out that you're not doing more than 1 stitch in the same starting chain. Alright, and our last one. Here we go. Now we turn our work, and instead of doing 1 chain stitch on the edge, you're going to do 2, and that's actually going to count as your first stitch. So we chain 2, and now instead of going right into this first stitch when we start again, we're going to go into the second one. So we yarn over, insert your hook under both sides of that V, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and go all the way across. Very similar to our single crochet, just a little bit taller. And go ahead and finish your row. I'll show you what the completed square looks like. Alright, here is a completed half double crochet square. I did a total of 18 rows in order to make a square, and you'll see that the fabric is a little bit stretchier than single crochet. To count rows, you still kind of count in pairs like we did before. Those pairs are just a little bit taller and look a little bit different, but as you go through it, you'll start noticing what the rows look like and everything. So that is our half double crochet square. Alright, and our last section for this tutorial is doing 1 single crochet triangle. If you're setting up your cardigan the same way that I am, you will need 1 triangle piece on each side of the front of the cardigan. So I will be doing 1 in single crochet and 1 in simple Tunisian stitch, which you'll see in a later video. But for now, we're going to work on our single crochet one. So you start with doing your first row the same way that you normally would, just single crochet all the way across. I did start with 24 stitches again to make sure that it's the same width at the bottom of the triangle as my squares were so that it lines up correctly. But I'm just very quickly doing single crochet across the row. Alright, and we've reached the end of our row. So this is where things get a little bit different. I'm going to still start with a chain stitch because I like having that clear edging. So chain 1. Then we're going to single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through 1. Then I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 1 again, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So I have put 2 stitches together at the end. You're going to do that at the end of each row and then single crochet all the way across. When I say end of each row, I mean only on one side. Single crochet across. So every time you start a row that's on the same side as your starting yarn tail, this little guy, you'll start with that single crochet 2 together. All right, and that's our final stitch. So now we're going to go the other way, and the decrease going the other way, we have to make it on the same side as our decreases so we get that triangle shape, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. So I'm going to do my chain 1 and single crochet across. Once you reach your last 2 stitches, we're going to do a single crochet 2 together again, so that you end up with that edge. It's not very clear right now because we've only done 2 rows, but you will start to see that diagonal as you continue. So then we turn our work, chain 1, and start that row again with a single crochet 2 together. So I like using this yarn tail as my guide, like I kind of showed you with some of the other stitches we did, but I think of it as every time I'm starting a row on the side with the yarn tail, I have to do single crochet 2 together, and anytime I'm ending on the side with the yarn tail, I have to single crochet 2 together so that all of my decreases end up on the same side. I'm going to go ahead and finish this triangle so I can show you what it looks like at the end. Alright, and here's what the triangle looks like when we're on the last stitch. So to end a crochet project, you will end with 1 loop on the hook, and all you do is pull your yarn tail through after cutting it and pull it tight. It kind of works like a slip knot. So there is our basic triangle, and that is going to be the front, on the front of one of the panels of the sweater to kind of make room for the neck. And that's it. The next video that I'll be posting in this series will be the garter and stockinette knit stitches. So if you are wanting to give knitting a try for the first time, or just review some knit skills and make those squares, that's what we'll be doing sometime next month. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!